Can we get a round of
Good. Thank you.
They're clapping for you, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I just love it. So, y'all, we are here with Mitchell Edwards. Super excited. I mean, everyone has seen you on TV. They've also experienced you via social media and just as a regular person. But I'm curious, like, who are you separate from what you do?
Like I said, I'm just a guy trying to spread love, you know, spread inspiration.
Yeah.
Trying to tap into what it is that I love to do. Figure out those things because it changes every year. I find myself inspired by different things on a regular. So I just try to tap into those things, find my passion for it, and then kind of share that love for it and hopefully inspire others.
Yeah. Where do you go for inspiration? Like, set the setting for me?
Oh, it could be anything. I swear, all right, so when I was in arts high school, I found myself just like overstimulated with inspiration, right? Because you had an arts department, visual arts, writing, dancing, singing, acting. I was inspired by all of it. But nowadays, what I do is YouTube, throw on some live concerts or tiny desk concert or something like that. Yeah. I also write, so I'll watch some poetry, some slam poetry, if you guys know what that is. Go to the homie's crib. He's always making music. That's a big inspiration for me too, just to see somebody getting it done. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. My peers and YouTube.
Okay. Peers, YouTube, tiny desk.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you currently listening to? What would you say?
So I'm an R&B head. So I'm always listening to the modern day R&B, Chris Brown, Jasmine Sullivan, her. Yeah. So my playlist right now consists of all of those artists, but also some of the classics. I got Luther on there. Yeah. I got Whitney. I love Whitney Houston. Always love Whitney Houston. So I just kind of jam throughout those different genres. Not genres, but those different time periods within the genre of R&B.
Yeah. So curious then, right? You mentioned R&B and how you kind of jam or mix the genres. Mm-hmm. What would you say your path, what is the song that you go to and pull from, no matter where you are on your journey today? What is that song?
I feel like there's a lot for me personally.
Yeah.
But you guys know Ed Sheeran? Mm-hmm. So Ed Sheeran has a song called The 18 that I feel like when I first heard it, it was one of those euphoric moments or super climatic for you or cathartic, I'm sorry. So that song, whenever I feel like I'm drifting away from my artistry or just drifting away in life in general, I'll go back there and it kind of recenters me sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you get into the artistry? Was it a person? Was it a parent?
Thankfully, yes. My mom's put me in arts high school. Yeah. Back in the day, there was this song called Trapped in the Closet by, an unpopular artist. Well, he'll remain unnamed, but basically it was a hip opera. Just like an opera with hip hop music, whatever. And I had learned the whole thing, the first 3 or 4 songs of it. And at my cousin's graduation, his 8th grade graduation party, me and my other cousin had decided we're gonna perform it for the family. Okay. Music came on, we're inside, behind the, what we considered the stage at the time, which was just the living room. But we're behind the wall, song comes on, and then my other cousin bails out. Yeah. He's like, no, I don't wanna do it. But we had the whole family gathered, ready to see what we want to do. And I was just like, man, we got to finish. We got to execute. So he decided to sit it out, and I decided to do it by myself. Yeah. And so I just was going from one to the other, hopping in and out of characters, playing it. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
Baby, wait my ass. You know what I'm saying? And I was 9 at the time. And so my whole family got a real kick out of it. Yeah. So for that entire summer, I was just Mitch, come do Trapped in the Closet. Mitch, come do Trapped in the Closet. And I was going on tour around the neighborhood at all the local cookouts and block parties.
I love that.
For a whole summer.
And family is not gonna hold back.
They're not gonna hold back.
Family gonna tell you if you got it or if
exactly.
If you don't.
And I think one of the marks, most people's families are proud of them, right? But one of the marks is when they're encouraging you and promoting you, hey, yo, you ever see my cousin do Trapped in the Closet? Love it. That was the case for me. Yeah. And so, when people start rallying around you like that, you can't help but to take it seriously. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so my mom, right after that performance the first time, my uncles and aunts and everybody was like, yeah, he got to go to arts high school. And my mom's was like, yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And she stuck to it. I mean, when it was time to apply, I was a little embarrassed. I was like, I don't think I really want to do this anymore. And my mom's was like, just do it for me. And like any guy in here who's a mama's boy who loves their mom, you know, if your mom say do it for you, that's easy. Do it for her.
It's done.
You know what I mean? I'll do it for you. You know what I'm saying?
Done.
But after that moment, it really was just enough to inspire me to try to apply myself.
Yeah.
And after that, I was in it. I was in it, finding like scenes and on YouTube, studying films and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, this is exactly what I want to do.
Yeah. So how does a guy from Philly, right, go into classical training? I'm not passing judgment on Philly.
No,
I'm
good.
sure there's a lot of classically trained artists out there. How does that happen?
Well, to your point, Philly is right next to New York. So like our arts community is very large and it's also very serious. So the good news is that Philadelphia already had the structure to kind of train me. But to answer your question, like as a Philly dude, like I got a thick accent for real. Yeah. We talk fast. So if ever I'm nervous, you're not going to understand what I'm saying. And so that was the biggest reason why I decided to go into training, because I was like, we got to get this speech together.
Yeah.
And that was always my notes. Like I used to do little intensives or training stuff during the summer. Okay. And they'd be like, man, you're great, but we don't know what you're saying. So go to school, work on your diction. And that's what I did. Yeah. Like I said, Philly itself is a very I haven't said this, but it's a very passionate town. It's known for its passion, which lends itself to the arts. You know what I mean? Like singing, dancing, acting, all of these large expression based art forms. It's like, it's perfect for somebody from Philadelphia because you have a lot of energy already naturally built inside of you. It's just about figuring out how to like channel it and, like I said earlier, share it. Yeah.
So did you do that assessment yourself? I think you mentioned you got feedback.
Yeah. So I was 14 when you start high school. So I got that feedback early on. You know what I mean? Because I'm a 14-year-old not really thinking about my diction. You know what I'm saying? But luckily, because I was young, I was able to adapt and kind of learn how to speak, essentially. But yeah, it was feedback for me, firstly. Once I got to college and had to like learn and start taking speech classes, it was clear that I was behind. Very, very clear. I was the only Black actor in my program at the time. Okay. So like, you know, that's already a discrepancy there, right? Because white people, Black people, we speak different. We have different diction. So like we would go around the circle, everybody would hit it perfectly, and then it'd get to me and I would be the wrong one, the only one who got it wrong. And like it was a blow to the ego, but honestly, that's what I was there for. So I was cool. I was like, all right, bet. He said it like this. Let me try and say it like that. Let me just lock in on how he said it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What's like an affirmation you're telling yourself? Because I feel like when somebody receives that type of feedback, like the way you speak is off or different or not exactly what we're looking for, how do you like motivate yourself or find that resiliency I think this is just feedback? You know?
Yeah, I think, you know, being humble to the whole process, right? Yeah. Understanding that there are things that you don't know and there are things that you don't know. Yeah. Right? So if someone tells me you don't know how to speak, I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that. I thought I was speaking perfectly, but if you can't understand me, then yeah, you're right, you know? And one of the first lessons in acting is like an actor must be seen, heard, and understood. So if you can't understand me and you can't understand the text that I'm sharing with you, it's not landing anywhere. So I never took it personally. I took it as like a responsibility to figure out how to articulate.
Absolutely.
And so to answer your question, the affirmation is, you're going to get it.
You're going to get it.
You're going to get it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like the I think I can, but the little engine that could, you know that story?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that.
Okay. So then who is your mentor right now? Who is your mentor? How do you find a mentor?
So I have different mentors for different reasons, right? So I have a mentor who kind of mentors me with like life decisions at large. Then I have a mentor for the artistic world that I'm in. I have a mentor for money. I think mentorship is something that should be specific, right? Because if you're blessed to have like an older sibling or a close friend who can help guide you, or older cousin or something like that, that's great. But for the most part, as we branch out into the world, we're encountering people who do exactly what it is that we're trying to do. And we just need their like helping hand, essentially, or their word of advice. And so, like I said, specifying like, who do I talk to about what is my big thing. So I have several mentors to answer your question.
Okay. So A to Z, I'm a Philly high school student. I'm looking to get into acting.
Okay.
I don't know where to start. I ain't got no headshots. Like my friend took them on her phone or whatever.
Uh-huh.
What is the 5 steps that you would say, do A to Z, do these steps?
Well, A to Z is 26 steps. But I'll give you 5.
Give me 5.
Let's go A to F.
A to F.
Is that? No, that's E. A to E. Thank you. I think first and foremost, I always say this, as an actor, your main job is to embody different characters. Okay. So the first character you should start with is yourself.
Okay.
So doing different like self-reflective work or, self-centering work to just try and figure out who am I essentially, right?
Yeah.
What's natural to me? How do I flow? And so like doing different things, like for me, training, working out, journaling is a big thing to understand my inner voice, creativity, right? So writing poems or writing songs, figuring out what it is that like comes from me naturally that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
That's the first thing, is figuring out your voice, figuring out yourself in some sort of way. It's fairly cliche, but it's just like, figuring out who you are so you can figure out how to apply that energy elsewhere.
Yeah.
Secondly, if you can get some form of training, some type of training.
Okay.
I'm not big on acting class and all of that because I did it for a long time, and there's distractions there. There's the trap of comparing yourself or kind of like assessing someone else's journey and being like, man, I'm not as far. But if you can go there and just be disciplined about why you're there, like I said, with speech class, I was there to learn. So I'm going to take from other people and figure out, okay, he's doing it right. Let me do it like him. So if you can have a good mindset about acting class, then sure, hop in there. But you need to have some form of training simply because it shows, Yeah. I mean, I'm from Philly, like we talked about. I have I consider myself a fairly raw actor or raw artist. So you still want to use what it is that's natural to you. You don't want to like go to school and all of a sudden start talking like this. And, everything you do is robotic.
Yeah.
But you do want to be able to hit the beats and understand structure in a script and in a scene. When, you have to go into an audition, you have to show those things off fairly quickly.
What are beats?
Beats essentially are like moments. So right now, the opening moment of this interview was, welcome Mitchell. Woo! That beat's over. Next beat is the next question, right? Yeah. So like in conversation, we go through beats all the time, and it's just about having that language to identify that. Did
you learn that in acting class?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
I just wanted it for the audience.
Yeah, exactly. So
we're putting 2 and 2 together.
That's what I'm saying. So if you go to training, right, if you go to school, you have that vocabulary. You'll have that sense of terminology, beats. Yep. If you can show an understanding for those things, that'll get you so much further than most people coming in. You know what I'm saying? Third thing, study. Okay. So watch movies, watch plays if you can, read plays. I read a lot of plays when I was in high school in particular because I was a theater major. So I read a lot of different plays. But also study actors, right? Study them in interviews, or there's a cool thing on YouTube by the Hollywood Reporter called the Actors Roundtable. And it's just like this here, right? Actors are sitting around amongst each other discussing their experiences, and it can be really insightful just to see how they're navigating their careers from the beginning, the middle, and now where they are now in the peaks of their careers. All right, so we got know yourself, train, study. 4, I would say, try and have some fun in life. One of the biggest holdups for me was that when I moved to LA, I was very anxious that first year when I wasn't working as much because I was like, I didn't move here to be a civilian. Yeah. I moved here to work, and that's all I wanted to do. And that's just not reality. The reality is you do have to become a civilian wherever you go. Even if I did fly out here on a job, I still was going to have to adapt to the city and to the way of living here. So trying to have fun helps you to kind of break up that routine that's just focused on your goal, right? It allows you to kind of enjoy yourself a little bit more and then fall for the process.
What do you do for fun?
Yo, I ain't gonna lie, man. I be in the crib, man.
Oh my God.
I do, but I play Madden. You know what I'm saying?
You play the game.
I play the video game, and I just start doing that again. I feel like when I was in college was a real focus time for me. So I didn't listen to music. I didn't play the game. I didn't watch stuff. I was always at school. So now that I have that, it's only been like 2 years. You know? I play the game. I find working out very fun. So that's fun to me. I hang out with my friends. My friends are all people who I feel like are on the same wavelength. So.
Morning or nighttime?
Both.
Okay.
To work out?
Yeah, work out.
Yeah, both. I prefer morning because it's like nobody's there. Also, if I'm there, like I'm gonna be more disciplined because it's early.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And then I think we were on number 5.
5, I would say, just do it. And that seems real cliche.
Yeah.
Like it's a Nike ad or something. But when I say just do it, I feel like, do the things that you think you are supposed to do the things that you found out you're supposed to do, whatever the case may be. So if that's getting headshots, do it. Don't wait for people to like encourage you to do it. And don't look for the applause while you're doing it, right?
Yep.
So if you want to become a music artist, go and record that song. Share it with somebody who you feel like is going to be receptive of your process and your effort, not somebody who's going to criticize the product.
Love it.
You know what I mean?
I love that.
So when I say just do it, I feel like take the steps that you feel like you should be taking, like I said, based off of your own research and your own heart, knowing yourself. And don't really seek that applause because this is going to come. When you're walking on the stage getting the award, that's when they'll applaud you. Or when you're on the billboard, they'll applaud you. But if you can just get through the silence of the journey in the beginning, then you'll be good.
Yeah. Know yourself.
Know yourself.
Train.
Study.
Have fun.
And do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful moment to open it up to the crowd. I feel like the question.
Okay.
So, do we have any questions for Mitchell? Of course, right here.
Throughout your journey as an actor, right, there's things you're refining and working on. Right now in your career, what are you working on the most as an actor?
Right now, the project that I'm on right now, it's called All American Homecoming, and it's a cultural show, right? So it's really something that's built around our personalities as actors, and our characters are kind of built out from that. So for me, I kind of see it as a great opportunity to get comfortable.
Yeah.
And when I say comfortable, I mean like in front of the camera. Because no matter what, we're human. No matter what, when they put that camera in your face, there's a whole physical reaction that you have.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing, right? It's like having butterflies before you go on stage. You want to still have that because it indicates that you are passionate about what you're doing. But for me, how do I ride that wave is where I'm at with it, right? Showing up fearlessly and just kind of committing to the scene. So I like to I'm working on just being comfortable with all my choices and just trying to like settle in and not trying to stand out. If that makes sense. Yeah.
I think we have a few more questions.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
So what makes someone qualified to be a mentor or where do you find them and seek out mentorship?
Yeah. A lot of the people who I consider a mentor now I met along the way. So through relationships or like a program that you're in and, there's somebody older or whatever. As far as the qualifications, I'm a fairly like eclectic but genuine person. So like not everybody can get with that, right? They expect if I'm an actor, I'm just going to be shallow and just like about this, that, or the other. So I feel like genuinity is something that I seek first and foremost within people. And if you have something to stand on, you know what I mean? I feel like some form of success is subjective, you know what I mean, from person to person. But you can't be telling me how to win a Super Bowl if you're not in the league. You know what I'm saying? So being able to assess like where someone is and having respect for where they are and being like, you know what, I like that place and position that you're holding. I would like to learn from it. Yes, for me, I like to keep the relationship just because like that's what I'm learning about life, man. It's really about your relationships. And, even though like some of my mentors, for instance, like the relationship can evolve, but I'm still going to call you and check in. We're still going to have that dynamic in which I'm coming to you to seek counsel of some kind. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it can evolve. I wouldn't say it shifts to where I don't use you anymore, but it evolves.
Because the follow-up is important.
Yeah, the follow-up is major.
Like when you make that initial connection, the follow-up has to be, consistent.
Yeah.
And it has to be done.
Yeah, because if you come to me and say, hey, I want to, I don't know, let's say I want to make $100.
Yep.
And you have no idea how to do that. And me and you have all of this back and forth about how you can get there. Yeah. Once you finally make $100 and you don't come back to me, that's kind of shady.
Yeah, yeah.
Come back to me and be like, hey, look, I made 1,000 and here's how I did it. And it becomes a relationship that we can both learn from each other.
Yeah. So after I do them 5 steps, be sure to slide in the DMs.
Let me know how it goes.
Let them know how it goes.
Please.
I think we got one more question.
Tell us about the business side of acting. How do you deal with casting directors or agents or marketing yourself? Like, what's the scene like for an actor today?
Okay. Well, marketing, I mean, everybody kind of exists on social media, and that's like your main platform for that. I don't actually take advantage of that platform as much as I could or should.
8 posts on there. It's like 6 posts on it.
Yeah.
I was researching. I'm like, come on, man, give me something to work with.
Yeah, I took it all down for the premiere. You know what I'm saying? But I would say that as far as marketing, right? So going back to that original first step of knowing yourself and figuring out how to market yourself, right? Yeah. So for me, when it comes to social media, it doesn't suit my personality per se to be on my phone all day, every day. Yeah. So that platform, I have to figure out my way into it. Yeah. And that's a part of knowing yourself and figuring out how to market that. As far as casting directors go, I think the biggest misconception is that the casting director is a judge. And if you're anything like me, as a black man, you don't like the idea of a judge, right? But the casting director is there to hire somebody. They're there to find the talent, right? So they're in your corner. So when you go into an audition, like, no matter how many credits you have or don't have, just have faith in the person that's behind that desk, because they're looking for you to be the choice or whatever. They're not looking for you to mess up. For agents and managers, just please find somebody who you feel like is really passionate about you and believe in you, but also is going to do some work. It's easy for like a manager of a new actor to say, well, there's nothing to manage. That's not what you want to hear. Because if there's nothing to manage, then why are we associated? Why are we affiliated? You want to have somebody who's going to have something to manage, who's going to bring you something to manage. So yeah, and same with an agent. You want to find somebody, like I said, who's passionate, who understands what it is that you're trying to do and what roles you're trying to play, whatever the case may be. And it's going to passionately and vehemently push you forward. You want somebody who's like your cheerleader that's going to push you forward. So yeah.
And I think that's a great segue for us to cheer and give a round of applause. Because this was amazing.
Thank you.
This was amazing. I mean, it was straight to the point.
Thank you.
I'm
glad.
Definitely. I mean, we love to have you. Thank you so much for giving us a moment of your time.
Yes, thanks for having me.
And giving us your truth and your story. A lot of people could, join us on stage and just talk about all their accomplishments, but really sharing with us the how do we get there, the steps, and keeping it real. Like, I think that's the main part that we really admire about you in this interview. So y'all, thank you so much for tuning in to Pass Season 2.
Season 2?
I love you guys. Turn up.
Then discuss her rapper messy colors. Never become business. I love Aphrodite. Then discuss her rapper messy colors. Never become business. I love it when you couscous. Love it when you couscous. Love it when you couscous. 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 Couscous.